July. It started with a lot of heart. Midway the month, it even became super, although others would call it terrific. But did the month become fantastic? Well, let's find out, shall we? This is the review of Champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions a car has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, voice only, we have Lokismom. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I would say fantastic, but I think someone else may want to say that.
Okay. Merv, how are you?
I'm doing good.
And last but not least, fresh out of the theater, as always, Taylor, how are you, man?
How many times are we going to say the word fantastic in this review? I'll try to avoid it. I'm outstanding.
Okay, that's good. I have scheduled it for another 2 or 3 times, so let's just see how far we go. Today we're going to talk about the Fantastic Four first steps, but before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our forum at Sacar.freeform.net. You can do that by clicking in the link in the description. That will take you to the set up an account page, and yeah, you can become a champion yourself. If you want to. Consider this your final warning. After this point, the spoilers are incoming. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, do that first and then check out our review. As always, when we're doing movies, we do 3 rounds. First, our quick thoughts, and we try to keep that contained within 30 seconds. After that, we dive deeper into our likes and dislikes of the film. And the third round is the rating round. And of course, there may come up some afterthoughts or remarks or silly jokes. You never know. So let's just dive into the movie. Well, this is the 4th live action iteration of Marvel's first family, I believe. And the previous ones have not been great. Not to mention not fantastic. Did they get this right this time? Well, let's ask the panel. Merv, did you enjoy the movie?
I did, quite a bit. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really light. It's pretty self-contained as far as the MCU goes, so you don't have to have seen anything else to understand where this movie comes from. And I had a good time with it. It has its faults, but overall, I feel like the good outweighed the bad in this one.
Okay. Taylor, you just saw it. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely loved this movie. I loved everything about it. Now, I do have some issues, but they're not with this movie per se. They're more with this movie's implications to the rest of the MCU, and we'll get into that. But this movie, peak MCU.
Okay. Lokismom, can I have your quick thoughts, please?
I really enjoyed it. It was, I liked the styling of it. I thought it had a totally different look from what we've been seeing with the MCU, even with all the different universes or verses. This one, I think, was unique, and I enjoyed the cast very much. Some issues, but I'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I overall enjoyed the movie. I think it was okay. I do also have some issues with it, and when I was walking out of the theater with my wife, with whom I saw it, she said I thought it was a little bit boring, and my first reaction was that Elvis Presley song, a little less conversation, a little more action, please. My biggest gripe with the movie was that we get a lot of montages in TV shows, newscasts, press conferences, and stuff like that about how great or how fantastic the Fantastic Four are, but you don't really get to see it. And I'm more like show it, don't tell. Basically, there were 2 major action pieces in the whole movie, and they were great. But yeah, I wanted a little bit more out of that, and I wonder if it was a good decision to cut John Malkovich part, which was announced it was the Red Ghost. They talk a lot about Red Ghost and his punching monkeys or whatever, but why don't you show it? Then at least you have another action piece, and then you get to see how fantastic the Fantastic Four are. But that's my major issue with it. I love the vibe of the movie, like Lokismom said, the 60s vibe you get. I loved the chemistry of the cast was absolutely great. I mean, they really felt like a family. I thought that was excellently done. I liked all the actors in the roles, and I loved Galactus, the look of it. So there was a lot to love as well about this movie, but I did find it a little bit dull. So that was my main issue with the movie. But again, I said this before. You're not here to hear me talk. You're here to hear the champions talk. So I'm gonna give the floor to Taylor, fresh out of the theater. Uh, you had some issues, not so much with this movie, but with the overall MCU implications. Let's hear it. And of course, you can say how wrong I am with my gripes.
No, it's all opinion. Uh, but yeah, I thought this movie was really great. It's the best Fantastic Four movie ever made, and I am actually a fan of the 2005 and I can't remember what year this Rise of the Silver Surfer came out, but the sequel. I'm actually a fan of both of those movies, uh, but they're not as good as this movie, and they're not as good as most MCU, but they're good movies. But this, of course, is like I said, peak MCU. I thought it was visually stunning. I thought the action scenes were really well done and really exciting. The escape from when they were out in space, the escape from Galactus,
Yeah.
first through the all the flaming debris and everything crashing around them, and then into the wormhole all while being chased by the Silver Surfer. Really spectacular and really it was really good. All the acting was really good, like you said. All the characters gelled; they felt like a family. All the dialogue felt real. The humor felt organic and real. I thought all the characters were good. In a lot of the reviews and stuff that I've looked at, I, I see a lot of compliments for uh, Reed Richards and Sue Storm and Ben Grimm, but I haven't seen much compliments for Johnny Storm, and I thought Johnny Storm was really great in this movie. He felt real. He didn't feel like a stereotype. He didn't feel over the top. He was smart and funny, and he cared, and he was heroic. So, and I think the actor did a really good job there of making him very human. All the visuals, the visual effects were gorgeous. The Thing looked amazing. Galactus looked amazing. You know, fantastic car. everything, everything just looked really, really good. Uh, I liked that they didn't do an origin story. And the way they did it, I thought worked well. Sure, they could have put more in, but they gave us all the information we needed of the background for anybody in the audience. If there is anybody in the audience who doesn't know the backstory of these characters, it's like saying, is there anyone in the audience who doesn't know who Santa Claus is at this point? All right, you really don't have to get into a lot of detail. So I thought they did a pretty good job. Again, the aesthetic of making it this sort of alternate 1960s feel, great attention to detail on all of that. The clothes, the fashions, the technology, even the super science had a 60s look to it, a 60s feel to it. All really, really good. And I loved the way the story unfolded and the way they're given a problem that's impossible to solve. And I love the way they solved it and the different trial and error that they went through to try to figure out this problem and save the world. I also like that they didn't overdo the part where, of course, Galactus says, yeah, I'll spare the planet, just give me the baby. And they didn't overdo the, torches and pitchforks trying to tear down the Baxter building to try to get the baby and give it to Galactus. It was there. People were saying, hey, even Reed Richards, mentioned, well, ethically and mathematically and logically, it would make sense. to do it, but they chose not to, and they led. They went out there and they led the people and saying, no, we don't have to give up our baby, and you don't have to give up your families either. We'll find a way, and the whole world worked together. I like that their whole world came together to do it. Now, of course, the plan, like I said, trial and error, multiple plans didn't work, but they just kept fighting and they kept trying and they just kept coming up with newer and smarter things to do. So again, I love when the characters are smart and they solve problems and they get it done. Again, I thought all of that was fantastic. I thought I almost said the word. I thought all of that. I thought all of that was great. I thought Silver Surfer did a great job. I don't know the actress's name off the top of my head. Can't remember, but she did a great job.
Juliet Garner.
Julia Gardner, thank you. The Julia Gardner. The Galactus did great. The actor playing him, and that was an actual actor, all CGI'd up, but there was an actor. He was on the blue carpet premiere and everything, but he did a good job. The issues I have, and again, they're personal preference stuff for the most part. I don't think this had to be in an alternate universe. I think they could have set it in a alternate version of our 1960s and just had this happen in the 1960s. They could have changed very few things and it would have worked. If this was just something that happened on Earth 616 in the 1960s that no one ever talks about, which is fine. We don't talk about everything that happened in 1966 or whatever all the time. And then instead of them jumping universes into the modern 616, they could have just gone through a time warp or something. And I think that would have worked. And again, that's simply because I hate the whole multiverse thing. But doing the way they did create Earth 828 was very, very well done. So that's not my biggest issue. I can live with that. I know we're doing the Multiverse Saga. My bigger issue is with Silver Surfer. Okay, yes, this version of Silver Surfer exists in the comics, all right, in like one issue out of 50 years of comic books, all right. I want to see the Silver Surfer that's in the other 49 and a half years of the comic books. Now, people are going to say, well, but that's the 616 version. They'll bring that version in later. Well, it's too late now. Been there, done that. You've already given us a Silver Surfer. What are we going to do the same story again? Is he going to show up in 616 and the Fantastic Four will be there and say, oh, hey, you're a Silver Surfer. We've seen you before. We know all about you.
But isn't Galactus also a unique being across the multiverse, just like America Chavez?
I don't know.
That's
Maybe.
what I understood. Yeah,
but from the movie perspective, though, they're going to be retreading the same ground. Is the issue I have now. They could take the more well-known Silver Surfer and just give them their own movie out in the universe doing space stuff, and it would probably be great. But bringing them in to interact with the Fantastic Four again or with the rest of the MCU again is just going to feel like a retread. Now, and it goes back to Spider-Man: No Way Home, which I actually love that movie, but now we can't have a 616 Green Goblin or Dr. Octopus because Peter Parker's going to say, oh, you're Norman Osborn. Yeah, in the other universe, you turn into Green Goblin. I better keep an eye on you. You understand what I'm saying? It's restricted to that other universe now because it's crossed over and everyone knows about it now. There's not going to be any story of their origin and their what they're going to do and everything. So that's the problem with multiverses. Is there I don't want the same character over and over. I want the one character, one version of who is there for the long term.
I can't wait for Doomsday when I get your thoughts on Tony Stark, aka Doctor Doom.
Yeah, there'll be thoughts on that. It all depends on how they execute that one. But again, those are my only issues. And again, really no issues with this movie. There's issues with the whole multiverse thing. It's always an issue for me because to me it's again it seems like it's very expansive and opens up the world for all these great stories. But to me, it's actually restrictive because you've shown us these same stories in other universes. Why would I want to see them again in my universe with a different version of this? character that we've already seen.
It's another 2.5 years, then we're done. So you have that to
Exactly.
look forward to.
We're gonna reset, and we'll see how they do that. Lastly, if Disney Plus does not give us a full season of the cartoon from the end credits scene immediately, they are definitely missing the boat, because I really want to watch that cartoon and watch them clobber the super apes in, in animated form, and a cartoon Reed Richards with his scruffy beard and his and his mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, this is just one of Marvel's best overall. Beginning to end, I was enraptured while watching it, and there's a lot of stuff in it. It's a movie you need to see more than once, because there's so much detail. One thing there was not a lot of, though, is characters. Do you notice how small of a cast this movie has relative to most other MCU movies? So I think they really trimmed some fat there. They're probably trying to save some money, which is a good thing too. But it was
Mhm.
very contained. It was just, there was the four of them, uh, Galactus and Surfer, the teacher that Ben has a crush on, and the media people. that was it. That was the entire cast. Oh, and Mole Man. Well, that is the other thing. I need more Mole Man. I want a 616 Mole Man, but now it's ruined. But Mole Man is the best. Maybe we can do a prequel of them fighting the Mole Man in a way, because I need to see that story.
Yeah.
Overall, though, no, like I said, I can't complain. I love this movie. I can't wait to watch it over and over.
Mhm. Yeah, that you can do in a few months when the Blu-ray enters your house
Yeah.
by mail. Loki's mom. Uh, you also had some issues with this movie. Let's have it. And of course, I want to hear your highlights of this movie as well.
Okay. Yeah. I think for me, at least, it was there was a lot going on. I mean, there were a lot of narrative. It was like you say, a lot of not enough show and too much tell in a lot of it, because as Taylor points out, there was like these, they were doing it with clips and TV shows and interviews and whatnot. Um, I almost was, if they were going to do, or if they are going to do a cartoon series for the Fantastic Four, think they almost should have done it first, for the reason that I think they needed a bit more backstory. Um, Now it's been a while since the Fantastic Four movies were out, and they were not as popular as Superman and other things. Like you say, with the previous Superman movie, they just jumped right into the middle of it, because we had already seen so many movies up to this point, and TV shows that's going over that ground. So they really didn't need to do it. But I do think that they needed a little bit more backstory. It would have enhanced the characters, and without making the movie overlong, or having a movie made before that was just focused on their origin story, maybe the cartoon series could have done that. But be it that as it may, it's already done. That was my main thing. I think uh, the acting was fantastic. I loved the camaraderie of the cast, and as has been said, they were a family, and you could feel they're comfortable with each other and loved each other. And the baby was just adorable. He had just this huge melon head, which was like a football upon it. Uh, what else did I like? Oh, the I talked about the architecture and all that, and just a little side note on that. That type of architecture is called Googie, and I forget the architect who came up with it, but it was more of a California thing, and then it spread through the country in different places. And it sort of has that modern space age uplift feel to it, and the curves and no straight lines and the pastel colors. Um, uh, a lot of that architecture is gone now, because a lot of it was just shoddily done, and like service stations and hamburger joints and whatnot. The first McDonald's, the Golden Arches, that's an example of Googie. Um, and I actually got to see this movie inside of a Googie styled theater that's sort of a landmark theater in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I shared a picture with it of the theater on Sakar if anyone wants to go over there and look at it. But anyway, that was just a little fun side note for me. Um, I really had my heart set on John Kerensky playing this part playing Reed Richards, and we got a little snippet of him in was it Spider Man? Yeah,
Multiverse of Madness.
yeah, okay, it was that one. I couldn't remember which one he was in, but yeah, we got a little snippet of it in that. And so, but Pedro Pascal was very good. I mean, he looks the part. He's, sort of young, middle aged, and got the distinguished sideburns. And um, if anything, though, I think his acting was just a bit too tentative. Maybe that's the part of the character. He seemed like he's not really. He's brilliant, and everything he does works. But yet, at the same time, he's not sure. He's always leaning into Sue and for that. So maybe that was on purpose. Um, like I say, Johnny Storm was good because he was. I think actually he was a standout in the whole cast. I mean, he was the best actor and had the best parts and best lines. As far as I was concerned, he's sort of like the star, even though there's no real star of this film. Uh, I'm going to take exception with what Taylor said about how this is. He had wished that it had taken place in the same MCU that we've been in so far, but they've already set it up where the people on this or this version of Earth or the version of Earth we're used to. They didn't know all this stuff about the aliens that were out there, and they didn't know about the Hydra and the Mystic Arts people that were doing everything sort of behind the scenes, and nobody really knew what was going on. People, there were rumors and whatnot, just kind of like there are today, with people thinking about things like that. But but over in this universe, the Fantastic Four, said it again. It seemed like those people are already used to that. They've had a lot of that going on already, and so they weren't as shocked by it. So I think they've had a totally a different time, almost like ours, but not quite, and just a little off. And maybe they're a little bit more advanced than what people in 1964 would have actually been. Which, if I think really, if you saw Captain Marvel, they sort of made sure that everything kind of looked, when they was back in the earlier years, the 90s or whenever it was, they made sure that it looked like that type of science and whatnot that we have, the airplanes and spaceships or whatever. It looked more like what we have in our own real life universe. So and as far as this multiverse thing, yeah, it is confusing, but that's really how the comics are. I mean, they're constantly going back and forth and sharing characters, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It can be confusing, but I don't really mind it at all. And but like I say, overall, I really did enjoy the movie, and there was enough there that made me happy and kept me interested. So yeah, I don't have a lot of negative things to say about it.
Okay. Well, fair. I enjoyed your review. Before I jump to Merv, Taylor had a follow up.
Yeah, just follow up on Lokismom mentioning that they should have done an animated series first. Well, on Disney Plus, there are already several older animated series of the Fantastic Four
Oh,
available.
okay.
Plus, Marvel does do a good job when they have a new characters coming to the MCU. They have this animated show. I can't remember what it's called. Avengers United or whatever, and they'll start putting episodes with those new characters into them. Now, those are geared towards younger kids, which of course are the other ones who aren't familiar with these characters yet. So they already do a pretty good job of that. And of course, the other movies are available for streaming as well. So I'm glad they didn't retread the origin story too
Mm-hmm.
much in this.
Yeah, you can. I think we said it during our Superman review as well. We don't need to see the spaceship go from Krypton to Kansas
Mm-mm.
anymore, or see the Batman parents get shot in the alley. I mean, yeah, we've seen that a lot, and why repeat that? But anyway,
Well, not everybody has. I mean,
yeah,
they're
that's
more than
true.
just people that go to than Marvel. Than comic book nerds. And but anyway, that's
Okay.
just my thought. I mean, I understand why they did it. I'm not criticizing it that hard for that.
Yeah. Okay, I, I can see your point, but I can see Taylor's point as well. So uh, now, Merv, I give the floor to you.
Well, this movie was fantastic. The visuals were fantastic. No, yeah. Probably number one highlight for me was the. I have not historically, personally, been a huge Fantastic Four fan. They've never stuck out to me in any version that I've digested them, whether it be comics or animated cartoons or even any of the stories that I've read that include them. They've never been like my favorite part of those stories. Uh, so in the 2000s movies didn't really help that all that much. um, as I mean, they were fine for what they were. But this one, I had a distinct thought when I was walking out of the theater of this is the first time I feel like I know what people mean when they say like the Fantastic Four are Marvel's first family, because they really felt like a family in this. Like their chemistry, interaction, their whole those four characters' dynamics together in almost every scene that they're all in or part of. Some of them are in. It all came across really well. So to me, that was like the strongest thing about it, and maybe that's why I didn't have any issues with like the pacing or lack of action because I felt really invested in so many of the conversations that they were having. It didn't feel like mundane or boring to me. It maybe that'll change on a rewatch. Who knows? Now that I know where the story went and everything. I'm not saying they couldn't have thrown in another action sequence, but I didn't feel it as I was watching it the first time through. Visually, amazing, pretty much top to bottom. I thought it looked great. The aesthetic alone, the kind of retro futuristic vibe that the whole every scene has was really a good choice. I really like that. I think it makes this movie alone within the MCU stand out just as a visual. As soon as you see it, you know what it is. Specifically, I loved the way Galactus looked from his first appearance when he like is you just see his eyes at first and then he kind of leans forward and his scale gets so much greater and greater and it's just like how far away was he initially? You know what I mean? Like I love that aspect of Galactus. He's like maybe it's a me thing, but I find him terrifying because of how massive he is. You know what I mean? It's like there was a game back in the 2000s called Avengers Ultimate Alliance, and there's one level of the game where Galactus is destroying a city, and you're trying to run away from him, and his like head and arms are like chasing. Whenever his eyes roll over to you and like spot you, that scared me. You know what I mean? So I felt that here too, and I thought they did an excellent job. I thought Galactus looked amazing. The other visual highlight for me was Johnny on fire. I thought his fire looked tremendous. The best that fire maybe has ever looked on screen to me. Whenever the lights go out, whenever he first tries to do the teleporter thing, and then Johnny kind of like partially ignites just to light up the room, that just visually was spectacular. So the pacing was pretty good. I like that it's a self-contained story, that you don't have to know anything about anything, really. The film kind of breaks it all down for you. I thought Reed and Sue in particular of the four had like the most to do here as far as like character development and character growth. They're dynamic together. Obviously, Sue births Franklin, that whole thing, and just everything kind of really revolved around them, which I think was a strong choice. I will say that leads into one of my, I have a short list of minor negatives about it, and that's that outside of like comic relief and a little bit of fluff, like I didn't really feel like Thing had much to do here. I would have liked, I don't know what they could have done to make me feel like he was more a part of this, but it just felt like he kind of got a little bit left off to the side. And as you mentioned, like there's not that many characters to choose from, so it's really just these ones that kind of took some away from him, I guess. And again, I don't even know how you would fix it. I just know that like I felt like he didn't get as much love as like Reed and Sue and even Johnny did in this. That's just the way I felt about it. Silver Surfer, I also could have done with a little bit more, and maybe just a little bit more, just a few splattering of scenes, just showing like her twisted decision, or her decision to turn on Galactus. Essentially, that kind of felt rather abrupt. Like, I get it. You're kind of waking yourself up to the fact that you are massacring these planets. I mean, how didn't you know? I mean, you have to know. I don't know. I just felt like it could have been. It just felt a drastic jump, from one point to another, just to say, hey, okay, I'm turning on them, and somehow I'm gonna save the day. So some of that stuff, I had heard afterward that the final battle. Specifically was kind of stitched, edited and re-edited and stuff like that, and maybe that explains like why that most of my kind of hiccups are within that final battle sequence. Um, Maybe that explains some of it. It was still fine, but like I feel like some things could have been done better. Like one of the big things coming out of it, or even while I was watching it, was like everyone has something to do, but I would have really liked to see some more of these four characters with their power sets working together. It felt like they all kind of took their own single shot at Galactus to like slow him down from getting to Franklin or whatever. I would have liked to see a little bit more teamwork in that regard, like a little more than just like Johnny, dropping Ben onto him, like just something else to work together, because it just seemed like they were coming at him like one, and then getting Reed's almost getting ripped in half, and it's really kind of Sue who stalls long enough to open the portal, but it just felt like a little bit more team chemistry in combat. Obviously they were working together outside of combat, but a little bit more team chemistry in the combat would have made that from like, okay, this is good, to okay, this is great. For me, I'm thinking along the lines of like stuff that we saw in the X-Men cartoon from last year,
Yeah,
where they were working together.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that scene in the hallway.
Yeah, where I can tell that like these guys, that this team has spent years working together, and you can feel that in the combat. That's kind of, that would have been just the icing on the cake for me. The cake was still good, but that would have been like the icing, the extra bit of icing that you really love. That's pretty much it for negatives. I really had a good time watching this movie. Mole Man was hilarious as a little personal highlight too. I thought he stole the show whenever he was kind of trashing everyone except Sue whenever they were asking for his help, and he was like, "Don't get mad at me, Johnny. I didn't dress you." That dry comedy just hit it for me. I like that a lot. So really had a lot of fun with this. Looking forward to rewatching it. Hopefully I don't have any pacing issues after that or anything. But yeah, I thought this was a really good movie.
Well,
fantastic.
I lost count, 14 or something. But anyway, I do want to do one big shout out. The score of this movie, the theme of the Fantastic Four, amazing. It's one of the best scores I've heard in a long time in superhero movies. You guys agree?
Yes, it was really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it sounded great.
Yeah, it's been an earworm in a good way. I've been listening to it for a while now, and I absolutely love it. So, Michael Giacchino is his name, I think. He did an excellent job with the score for this movie, and I also like the little original song they put in at the end. What was it called? Let's Be Devoured or something. It was also a nice little song in the end. Does anyone have anything to add?
One last thing. The animatronic thing, Herbie, really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. I'm a big fan of robots, and Herbie is a really cool robot. And that was practical, I'm told. It was an actual remote control machine. It wasn't CGI'd for the most part.
Well, now I want one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, that leaves us with nothing else to do but rate the Fantastic Four First Steps movie. I'm gonna start with you, Lokismom.
Um, well, I've been wavering between a 7.5 and a 8. Like I said, the movie had some issues for me, but that baby was so cute. I'm just going to go ahead and give it an 8. Fantastic 8.
Okay. Merv.
In honor of the movie, I will give it a 4 out of. No, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's 4 twice over.
Yeah, fantastic. Taylor.
How do you rate a movie that has Mole Man, Super Apes, a zero gravity birth in outer space, and a super baby with chubby cheeks? I herald a 10 out of 10.
I was afraid you're gonna say that. Yeah, I'm gonna go 7 out of 10. Yeah. Okay. Only for the popcorn bucket, I will add a point. 8 out of 10 for me then.
Yeah,
Um,
I
Extra
got
point
one.
for
I
a
got
naked Silver Surfer.
one issue. They should have at least put the Beach Boys in there somewhere.
but okay, I give it an 8 out of 10 just because Taylor showed his popcorn bucket. So fair. That will conclude this review of Champions for the Fantastic Four First Steps. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, help us out, like and share this review, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really want more of us, join our forum at sakar.freeforums.net. We would love it if you do that. Next week, we will be back with a brand new episode of the Star Trek Project, and we're going to talk about First Contact. And we have scheduled a Phase 5 discussion somewhere in the next few weeks as well. And I mean an MCU Phase 5 discussion. So be on the lookout for that. For now, I want to thank you all also on behalf of our champions and wish you to be safe and be well. Bye.